Have you ever loved someone so much that the thought of confessing felt like standing on the edge of a cliff? Your heart pounds, your palms sweat, and the words get stuck in your throat. That was me for years, hopelessly in love with Clara. She was everything, the kind of person who could find a silver lining in a thunderstorm, whose laughter was more infectious than any pop song. We were best friends, inseparable since childhood. Our families were intertwined, our houses just a stone's throw apart. Everyone thought we were a perfect match, everyone but us, it seemed. I was just too scared to risk our friendship, to change the perfect dynamic we had. I told myself, one day I'll tell her. But one day is a thief, isn't it? It steals your chances, one by one, until there are none left. I remember this one summer evening, we were sitting on my porch watching the fireflies dance. The air was thick with the scent of jasmine and the sound of crickets. Clara was telling me about her dreams, about traveling the world, about the kind of life she wanted to build. And as I looked at her, her eyes sparkling with hope under the porch light, I felt this overwhelming urge to just say it, to tell her that my biggest dream was a life with her in it. But the fear, that cold, paralyzing fear, wrapped its tendrils around my heart. What if she didn't feel the same? What if I made things awkward? What if I lost my best friend? So I just smiled and said, "You'll do amazing things, Clara." And in that moment of silence, another opportunity slipped through my fingers like sand. My older brother Ethan was my complete opposite. He was confident, charismatic, the kind of guy who walked into a room and immediately owned it. He'd been away for college and then work, but when he moved back to town, he started hanging out with our group more. I saw the way he looked at Clara. It was the same way I looked at her. But the difference was, he wasn't afraid. He didn't hesitate. He made her laugh in a way I hadn't seen before. He challenged her. He swept her off her feet. I watched from the sidelines, a silent spectator to my own heartbreak. I told myself it was just a fling, that what Clara and I had was deeper. But deep down, a knot of dread was tightening in my stomach. The day Ethan told me he was going to propose, the world went silent. It was like all the air had been sucked out of the room. He was so happy, so excited. He showed me the ring, a beautiful, delicate thing that he said reminded him of her. "What do you think, little bro? Will she like it?" he asked, beaming. I felt like a ghost. I nodded, mumbled something about how perfect it was, and offered a weak congratulations. My heart was a shattered mess, but how could I tell him? How could I ruin his happiness and possibly my relationship with both of them forever? I had kept my secret for so long that it had become a cage of my own making. And now the door was being locked from the outside. The wedding was beautiful, a perfect fairy tale day. Clara looked like an angel in her white dress, and Ethan looked at her like she was the only person in the universe. I was the best man. I stood right there, next to them, as they exchanged their vows. I had to give a speech, a toast to their happiness. Can you imagine? Standing in front of all our friends and family, raising a glass to the woman I loved and the brother who had won her heart. I talked about their love story, about how perfect they were for each other. Every word felt like a lie, but it was also the truth. They were perfect for each other. The only lie was the smile plastered on my face. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. The applause felt like thunder, shaking the fragile composure I was desperately holding on to. After the wedding, things changed, of course. Family dinners became a minefield of forced smiles and polite conversation. Every time I saw them together, holding hands, sharing a private joke, it was a fresh stab to the heart. I tried to distance myself, making excuses to miss gatherings. But in a small town with our families so close, it was impossible. Clara would call, her voice filled with genuine concern, asking why I was being so distant. "Is everything okay?" she'd ask, and I'd lie. "Just busy with work," I'd say. "Just tired." Each lie built another brick in the wall between us. I was losing my best friend, and it was entirely my own fault. The silence I had chosen was now a chasm I couldn't cross. Years passed. They built a life together. They had a child, my beautiful niece, who had Clara's eyes and Ethan's smile. Being an uncle brought a new, complicated layer of emotion. I loved that little girl more than anything. Holding her, I saw the life that could have been mine. It was a bittersweet joy, a constant reminder of my cowardice. I watched my brother become a father, and he was a natural. He was a good husband, a good man. He made Clara happy. And that, in the end, was the one thing that brought me a sliver of peace. If I couldn't be the one to make her happy, I was glad it was someone who loved her as much as he did. One day, years later, Clara and I found ourselves alone, sitting on that same porch swing where it all began, or rather, where it all didn't begin. We were older, with a few more lines around our eyes. We were watching my niece play in the yard. Out of the blue, she turned to me and said, "You know, for the longest time, I thought you and I would end up together." My heart stopped. All those years, all that silence, and she had felt it too. I just looked at her, and for the first time, there was no fear, just a deep, lingering sadness. "Why didn't you ever say anything?" she asked, her voice soft. I finally told her the truth. I told her I was scared of losing her, that I loved her too much to risk our friendship. She listened, and then she put her hand on mine. "I was scared too," she admitted. In that moment, a heavy weight I'd been carrying for over a decade finally lifted. It wasn't a magical fix. She was still my brother's wife, my sister-in-law. But the truth was out, and it was liberating. We didn't dwell on the what-ifs. We acknowledged the past, the silent love that existed between us, and then we let it go. We accepted the life we had, not the one we might have had. Our friendship began to heal, transforming into something new, something mature and honest. The awkwardness faded, replaced by a quiet understanding. My story isn't a romance. It's a cautionary tale. It's about the deafening sound of silence and the regret that follows. If you love someone, tell them. Don't let fear write your story. It's a terrible author. Taking that leap is scary, I know, but trust me, the pain of regret is so much heavier than the fear of rejection. It's a weight you carry forever. Learn from my silence. Speak your heart.